From the heart of Maine, this is the DuView Podcast.
All right, and welcome back to this week's episode of the DuView Podcast. I am your host, Du, a.k.a. Ryan Dumont, and we are back after a nice little, summer, fall, into fall break here. And my guest here for episode 33, Kelly Colbath Returns. Woo!
Hello!
She's back, ladies and gentlemen, by popular request, the lovely Kelly Colbath. She told me I have to be careful with my introduction, so that's where we'll leave it. The lovely Kelly Colbath. Ladies and gentlemen, Kelly.
The descriptions.
Yeah. Thank you for coming back, though. Appreciate
oh my God,
it.
I'm so happy. I'm so excited.
We had Lucas back on, and it's been over a year, so we figured it was well overdue to have you. And also, I haven't seen you. We were just talking about this before we started recording. I haven't seen you in damn near over a year, too, really at this point.
I swear, sometimes I don't even realize how busy my life has been until I realize things like that people that I normally see often.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, okay, it's been an entire year.
Yep. No, literally I blinked and it's been an entire year because you know what I think honestly part of it is, thinking for 5 minutes now on what we said. I really think that it's the reversal of the COVID stuff. I think we're getting back to normal, and I mean, I've started school and you're working, you said 2 jobs and you've moved out, and we'll get to unpack all that in just a minute obviously, but you've taken on the full, and basically you have a kid too because you have a dog, Luna,
Yes.
which we'll get into your child in a minute too. But that being said, you've gone the full adult route, and that's a full-time commitment. It's a full-time commitment to yourself.
Yeah, no, it is. And it's God forbid, taking a little bit of time to get the things done that you need to get done. And then you're like, oh, now I've accidentally become antisocial.
Yeah, and now I don't really have a life because
And now I don't have a social
yeah,
life.
exactly, because work,
Yeah.
And so, really, how's life a year later, I guess is the real question.
It's apparently busier than ever.
Yeah, it is.
It's very good. It's funny because everything to me feels routine, but looking back at where I was a year ago, nothing about this year was routine.
Oh God, no.
So, but when you're in the day to day, it just feels like that's what.
Yeah,
doing.
that's where you're at. Right.
Yeah, but life has been good. It really just has been genuinely probably one of the busiest years of my life, both in good ways and not so good ways. But
right, and that's unfortunately how the cookie crumbles for a lot of
Yeah.
us. Privileged or unprivileged. Things are up and down. It's not a static flat line.
Right.
That'd be boring, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
So kicking off with something good though is your pup, Luna. So I know that we've talked about her. You just basically got her when you were on last time, and she was a handful. She had a lot of, we'll call it just social emotional problems and trauma and other things, as a lot of rescues do, which again is also a good thing to call attention to, because there are so many dogs that don't unfortunately end up going to homes like your Luna. And so it's good to, adopt and not shop first, and not to shame anybody that does by any means, but just keep it in mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that being said, how's Luna doing though?
She's doing amazing. I think one of the most incredible parts of having a rescue dog too, especially when they have behavioral issues or struggles, is that the bonding that you two do as she progresses, all of the progress I see her make, I just feel like her and I get closer and closer because she starts to view me as someone that she respects. I know this sounds insane because it's a dog, but she really does. When I first got her, I was genuinely concerned that we just weren't connecting because she was anxious all the time. She never seemed to feel safe. And then I was anxious because she was anxious, and just nothing was clicking. But then as the year went on and I just started to get to know her personality more and what her triggers are and some of those clicks, it allowed us to kind of mesh together. So now I know kind of what's going to happen before it even happens. And last year I couldn't even imagine taking her in the car in case we pulled up to another dog at a stoplight. She'd lose her mind. Fast forward to a year from now, or to now.
Right.
A year later,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
she's at daycare. She was at
Right.
daycare all day today with 12 plus dogs.
With friends.
And just living her life so happy.
Right, and like that's I think the cool. And I did tell you this would happen.
Yeah.
I did. To
Yeah.
be fair,
You
you know?
did.
I
You did.
just said there at one point it's just gonna click, and she's just gonna get along with the other dogs. And then I see like one day on your Snap story, her Luna and your friend Jess's dog like socializing for I think the first time.
For the first time
and
ever.
and
I was
they got along.
bawling
They
my
weren't
eyes
like
out.
beating each other up, and like Kelly's like over there bawling her eyes out because she's so proud.
Everyone else
Like,
is like just in the backyard, like what? These are dogs being
These are
dogs, and I'm like, not
she's
my
like,
dog.
she's made so much progress. Be proud of
I'm
her.
like, no, I'm proud. I mean, no, I've seen her make. Oh my God, I'm so proud of her, and it's just, I wish that more people understood the amount of work that goes into not only rescue dogs, but just a lot of dogs that are born. I feel like a lot of people just assume that dogs are just supposed to be friendly with other people and friendly with everyone
They're
and
just
friendly with other
automatically
dogs.
born like
And
that.
some of them
they're like
aren't.
people. They have to be educated. or
Right. And
taught.
like me, unfortunately, she was a little antisocial. And so I, pushing her out of her comfort zone, out of her shell, but still allowing her to feel safe, I think just made a huge difference. I kind of wish that more people were understanding of the process that goes into helping dogs who have, just allow them to have different behaviors, allow them to have different emotions, put some extra work in. And maybe, I guess my word of advice as a person is like, don't be so judgmental. If you see a dog who's on a walk, who's kind of spazzing out or freaking out, like, don't always just assume that that dog is a bad dog. We're
Right.
working on it,
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Like you can't assume. It's like people. You can't just assume they're automatically because somebody's twitching or something. You can't just assume they're a bad person, right?
Right.
Or, like they're weird. Stay away from them.
Exactly.
or shun them because you don't know.
Yeah, and
Right.
she had the habit of like barking at every single dog she saw.
So,
she's
she's a
seen,
problem dog.
she's
or
a problem
she's
dog,
an,
and
what's the an aggressor or
yes,
something.
and
like
so
that.
I've been
Yeah.
told by so many people on walks, you shouldn't bring your dog out if they're not
She can't
friendly. And I'm
handle it,
like, first of
yeah.
all, you want my dog to just stay inside for the only way that she can get used to things is being exposed, and she's safe. She's on a leash. I would never let her near your dog without permission. And and the barking was really what I learned was just a way to like proactively protect herself from a threat she didn't even know was there or not. So
Right.
but no, she's doing amazing. I'm beyond proud of her, and I can't imagine living on my own without her because she's the sweetest, most gentle dog. But if someone looks twice at Mama, she's not a fan. Feels good.
She's good. She's a good dog.
Yes, she is.
She's great. I mean, I've hung out with her plenty of times, and like I said, congratulations on.
She's not as aggressive towards men anymore. So
Well, she was never that bad towards me.
No.
Only at the beginning, and then she mellowed out.
Yeah.
Because I think you and your mom worked on her.
I think like
subconsciously.
Mom, she needs men to bow down to her first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I laid down next to her. We played.
Yeah.
I mean, also she like when we went to camp, she also like just like took my bed.
Oh my gosh, that's
she also
right.
just like asserted her dominance. She's like, "This is mine now," and
That's
I'm like,
right.
"Could you not?"
Yeah, I don't know where she gets that energy from.
I don't know.
That's
yeah.
so weird to
I don't
me.
know. I don't think that was learned wherever she came from. I think that was learned more in the last year and a half. But
anyways.
that being said, good for you guys. That's excellent. And so, speaking of, maybe not. I'm not saying the not so good, but the more we'll say it turbulent is obviously the world of employment, and that you said is been a lot. And so I guess obviously whatever you can't mention, don't talk about because as we talked about before, you do have clientele and children, and like you said, you just remind everybody, just remind everybody what you do for work again, just if they forget from the last episode.
Actually, it's funny. I think I may do something different.
Maybe you do. But
I think I do a different
anyway,
position.
To give a background, I guess you have you're in the you went to the psychology field at St. Anselm College. That's how we met. Blah 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 blah.
Graduated
Yep.
psychology and sociology. And so now
She works with people.
I work with people.
That's what I'm getting at.
I work with specifically youth.
Yes.
In the state of Maine who have mental health diagnoses.
Yes.
And the new part of my role is that also I have a partnership. Well, my program has a partnership with the Department of Corrections. So we work directly with youth who are a part of the juvenile justice system.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Is that that's that? I mean, that's quite a unique role working with again incarcerated youth, I guess. I don't know. Is that the term?
Well,
or do they not like you, or like,
we usually use the word detained,
Detained,
but
okay,
the interesting
yes.
part about my role is that we're really focused on early intervention.
Okay, so
And
trying to
so-
prevent
Right.
them even having to go
Exactly.
to,
So
is it
s-
South Portland? Is that where
Yes,
like the youth,
the Long
youth-
Creek
okay,
Youth
yes.
Development
So
Center.
actually, funny enough, I played a soccer game there. We played against their team.
That's,
So,
did you let them win?
Yeah, we were horrified.
Oh,
I'm sure
I
they were
There's
all
some
lovely.
rough and tough kids
I'm sure they
there.
were all lovely, but everybody's like, "Yo, like, is that fence electric?" And like, someone go pee on the fence, because like, like,
I mean, like, imagine
it was crazy.
living there
yeah,
as a kid.
well, we had to get buzzed in, and it was
It's
weird. They went
very
through our bags
intimidating.
and like everything like that. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I played travel soccer, it was yeah, that was a trip. That was crazy. I never thought I'd say, "Hey, I've been there," and not because I did something
Honestly,
wrong, like solely on the
No,
fact, like-
no. And you played
were-
with the kids
Yeah,
that
yeah.
were, so that, I guess that kind of blows my mind too, because I'm assuming that was prior to COVID.
Oh, this was many years ago. Yeah.
So, I mean, since
Maybe
COVID,
like middle school or like early high school.
Oh, okay.
maybe, Yeah.
so here I was thinking that, like, as an adult, you were playing these kids. And
Oh,
I was
hell
like,
no.
Who let that happen?
No, yeah. I was like, whoa, yeah, that's. Oh, sorry. I probably should have given context.
Yeah,
on that.
no, that's
No.
okay. No, but I was
But
like,
to
wow.
be fair, now I am coaching soccer. but
Right.
that's at the high school level. No, this is when I played travel soccer.
Okay, no, that makes more
for-
sense.
Yeah, no, yeah.
But that just, it kind of blows my mind, because ever since COVID, we've been dealing with such terrible staffing issues,
Oh, yep,
shortages,
Yep.
that I've, since working, have never heard of the kids being able to go out and do anything like that. But I think that would be incredible for something for
Yeah,
them
they
to
had,
be
they
doing.
had sports teams.
Yeah,
Like,
get out of there, do something physical, do something
yeah,
that they can really, really,
release some energy.
yeah,
just,
release
like,
some energy,
something
get
out. Yeah.
passionate about. So that kind of, it makes me happy and breaks my heart in the same sense, because it's like, I didn't even know they used to do that.
Oh yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. It was, like I said, a very unique experience. But that being said, though, you just touched on COVID, and so like, are things opening up there, or are things closing? Are they still kind of closed down? I mean, we're kind of. They said we're out of COVID, but I don't know.
Are we ever?
I don't think we'll ever be. I
yeah,
guess
I
I think
don't-
it's just around now.
And so,
I think that's just the inevitable, right? I think it's just we'll get it from time to time, and I guess the thing I would love is for, and I had it, and I'm not directing this at anybody. I'm just saying this in general for all employers. I just wish there would be understanding. It's like, hey, there's gonna be this disease around, and or this sickness around. Like, if I get it, can you at least be understanding if I'm like out a couple extra days?
oh yeah,
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's not just, I'm not directing that at anybody's, employer, just as a disclaimer, but
I had
just
to
in
take
general.
vacation days
Like, yeah.
when I had
mean,
it.
Right. Yeah.
It was not a vacation.
It was not. No, it
Let me
sucked.
tell you.
Yeah, it really did.
like-
It sucked.
Yeah, no, it's weird. It's because it's like this widespread pandemic that the entire world knows about, yet in a weird way, only certain, and I'm not saying my agency necessarily, but certain companies and agencies choose to acknowledge, but only
Right.
to a certain extent.
Right. Only till it's inconvenient.
Right. And so, mine's been pretty good with it. Thankfully, I just haven't had. I had it once, and
Yeah.
I was
same.
just I'm fortunate enough where I was able to work with it and get paid time off. But I do know that some people don't even get the paid time
Right.
off, and that
yeah,
I
and
can't
that's
even
kinda what I'm
imagine that.
getting at.
Yeah,
It's just so unfortunate. It's like, all right, well, not everybody like went and got vaccinated, or not everybody was like cool with being shut in for a little bit, and it's just like, we didn't do the necessary steps to keep mitigation down really early on. We know that now. Duh. Whatever. So we're beyond that point. But the point being is that if we're just accepting like it's around, it's the survival of the fittest or whatever bullshit. It's just like, be understanding that we may be out of work for a couple days.
right.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's just, and we can, move on from that point, obviously, but it's just, just a lack of understanding, I guess. And it's like, we've seen it in the workforce. I mean, it's crazy while we're talking about, what you're doing
Yeah.
for work. It's just people
Or
are,
like the
people are rejecting like 9-to-5 jobs, and a lot of, or just like, or even
Right.
rejecting like, why do we have to work 5 days if we can do it in 4? Or whatever it might be. It's like people want change of something. Obviously, people want a change of pace. I think being able to spend so much time with like our loved ones in various moments throughout the pandemic
yeah.
really kind of reoriented for a lot of people what was important.
Yeah, no, I agree. And so my approach for a while has been hybrid. That's kind of what our
Yep.
agency is basing it off of. our own and client.
And that's a lot of people are doing like this hybrid thing now,
Yeah.
where they only go in, and that's a huge change.
And honestly, I
How
can't.
do you like it?
I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, it gives me the freedom to go see some of my kiddos in person when they need it, and support them like in a court hearing. Like, it allows me to do that, but it also allows my kids the freedom to, if they're having a really, really busy day and they're overstimulated, sometimes a Zoom is just better for them.
Right.
Or sometimes we've
Or
got
it's
it.
more casual.
Yeah,
so it's
and like it's less anxiety inducing for some of my kids, and so I don't think anything is able to, especially in the field of psychology and social work, I don't think anything can replace human connection, but I do think it allowed a lot of our people and youth to actually knock down more barriers, because I don't think it's realistic to have some of these jobs go in person.
Yeah,
I mean, all I can say,
I get what you're saying.
right, all I can say is, like, for instance, I can fit 5 or 6 client meetings into one day if they're on Zoom. But if I'm traveling and one of my kids is in Portland and one of my kids is in Rumford,
Right,
that's 2
undoable.
kids a day, maybe.
Yeah.
So it's just not doable. So
it's
it
not
allowed
as
me,
efficient, rather.
right?
Yeah, it is doable, but it's just not as efficient, right? If you're getting the same end result, right? Like if they're getting to or producing or behaving or whatever measure you're using, because again, I'm not familiar with the field, but whatever unit of measurement you're using or progress you're using, if they're achieving that with the online meeting, then why not?
Which they are, right?
Right. If they're meeting the metrics,
They're still
meeting.
they're still making that
like,
progress.
Yeah, exactly.
And it allows it too. It allows us just a little bit more freedom because we have so much. What am I trying to say? Requirements by the state funding, and so it does allow us a little bit more freedom too. Where if my kid's having a really hard day, it's a lot more realistic for me to be like, "Hey, can you hop on a Zoom for 20 minutes and check in?" Than it would be for me to drive an hour, go check in with them in person, and then come back.
That's what I saw a lot, like when I taught at Coney during the pandemic, is the ability to use the Zoom to check in on the kids, like on their off day or like the Wednesday they were home. There was a chance that they would hop on for 30 minutes with their teacher. Would they come to school? No, they wouldn't, or they probably wouldn't have a ride,
right?
Or transportation, or if there's no buses, they're not coming to school that day. So at least that there's still some level of participation. Yes, it is a terrible pain in the ass for the educators to do like asynchronous, learning. I will acknowledge that. I'm not trying to, hype that up by any means. But that being said, though, it is interesting to see, what progress we have been able to make with the Zoom.
I mean,
Skype and that technology has been around. We've just now been forced, to use it, and
to utilize it in its fullest extent.
And it's mass, and somebody made money.
And it's like widely acceptable now.
Yeah.
Like that's
Whoever
the thing.
Zoom is rich.
Oh my God, I can't even imagine.
Before you're like, we're nobody.
We're
known by probably like executive softwares, and now it's like, oh hey, everybody, Zoom is like the Urban Dictionary word of the year or something.
Literally, and they're just like out there living on a yacht.
Term. Is it
zooming?
Zooming is that a verb?
Zoom
to zoom.
To zoom.
Yeah, one who zooms.
We have a Zoom or I will Zoom you.
Yeah.
Ooh, that sounds weird.
I don't
think
that.
I like that one.
Like that. I'm uncomfortable now.
Yeah, no, I don't think I like that one.
Oh boy, that was crazy. But it's true. And so like I guess, like when what tool, that's one of the tools that's made it easier to do your job in a lot of ways. But I guess on the flip side, what are the other things what are the shortcomings, or like what has made it more difficult in this time? Like you said, staffing
everywhere
is a huge problem. And I mean that's everywhere, but
it is everywhere. And I think what's really I guess detrimental in this field too is that if there's no staffing, there's no resources. So it's not like, if Walmart shortened staffing, they cut down to 2 cash registers a day.
Right. Or they open up more of the automated.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. But if we don't have therapists, there's no therapy.
Robots don't really.
Right.
It's like they can't. AI can't do therapy yet.
Yeah. So it's like, it's hard because we're seeing all these kids having so many intense needs, and actually quite a lot of them were brought on by COVID.
Oh yeah.
Or at least intensified by COVID.
Right.
And so now
like they were underlying, and now they're
being brought to like being stuck at home all the time, or no socialization. Yep. I mean, so now we're seeing all these things come to light. and there's
that we
no
knew were gonna
resources
come,
that we
unfortunately.
knew,
Yeah,
but now there's no resources to provide to these kids. So it's
where'd all
kind
the
of
money
like,
go, Kelly? Where'd
that's
all
a
the money we were just throwing
great,
around to all these businesses and
that's a
millionaires and shit? Where's
great
your PPE
question.
money for the mental health and for the kids, Kelly? Sorry,
That's
I hate to just like throw thunderbolts and shit on that. Like when I have guests on, like
No, I
when
would
it's
rather
me ranting like a psychopath. That's one thing, but it's where'd all the money?
Where's
just go?
all the money?
Where did it
Where's
just go?
the money into?
We don't have any money anymore.
Where's the money into the resources? Where is the money to fund the staff so that the staff have enough incentive?
Yeah, where'd it go?
You know what I mean? So the staff, obviously, people are out here with education and with experience, but if they're not being paid an okay wage to live a life,
Yeah.
then they're not going to do that job.
Unfortunately, so that's the killer as far as I'm concerned. So I was talking with my dad the other night, and they released a study for housing or whatever in Augusta. And to afford it was like a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment or something. You need to make $22 an hour. So,
and who offers that?
I mean, yeah, it's like that does limit the potential for a lot of folks, don't it?
Yeah,
and
it
really does. And so I mean,
yeah.
who do you say that? Shame on the landlords, shame on the politicians. I mean, shame on all of them, frankly.
Shame on all of them.
But and I know that firsthand. I mean, we all know what I used to do. We don't have to go into that tale again. But I mean, I've sat down with people who used to be the head of affordable housing, used to be the head of urban housing, and they all say we all need these affordable housing communities and
But
this,
where
that,
are they?
whatever else. And it's like, but and I have one of my questions for you later on, obviously, was like, how important is a safe, healthy, happy home to a kid, especially a kid with trauma or disorders or whatever, regardless if they are no longer in that traumatic situation, if they're still not in a safe housing situation or whatever, it's really for what, unfortunately,
Right.
You never see that forward progress. And unfortunately, I know that firsthand from teaching. I hear things about kids sleeping on the floor, and
Oh yeah.
it's like, well, I have to go call DHHS now. So that's
I
cool.
know. Well, and DHS.
And I mean, I'm not trying to
so
sound insensitive
no,
about it.
but
And they don't. I mean, I mean to sound just kind of like a bit rash. I don't think that some of them just don't give a fuck. I don't understand like why some of these. It's like some of these people who hate kids. Why do you teach? It's like if you don't actually care about the welfare of children, like, and I know you can have a different definition of what welfare is. It's like no,
is the child healthy?
Yeah.
Is the child happy?
Yeah,
like
and safe.
Yeah,
and I think that's. I don't know. For me, someone who always has looked at things in very black and white, like. I know there's gray sometimes. Again, I come from the political field, but a lot of the times when it comes to the welfare of children, it is in black and white. I mean, like, I've got divorced parents. I know friends that have divorced parents. It's just like, but like some of them see what's best for the kid, and they have clean divorces. Some of them just fuck
act
the kids,
out of
fuck
emotional,
whatever. Like,
yeah.
we're pissed. Like this happened, whatever, and they just like
those kids carry
and
that.
The kids
forever.
carry that. I mean, I can, unfortunately. I have a long list of friends that I can pull from that side more than I can say from like had the cleaner thing, or like the healthier thing, and that goes through many other examples of different situations, not just divorce or anything
but upbringing. Well, and that's
upbringing, and again, a lot of that trauma is from youth.
Well, and I think that's kind of that's when we start getting into the later generational trauma, where these adults are going their lives without getting the help that they needed when they were children, or getting the help that they probably needed as adults,
as young adults, even,
right? And then,
as
or even as full grown adults, if there's a stigma, and
unfortunately, it's so far, that not that they're so far gone, but their issues have so far prolonged,
right? And they've been raised with this narrative that like you don't go get help or whatever. But what they're not realizing, and it definitely is not always intentional, but you're passing along that trauma to your child. You're passing along the unhealthy coping skills.
I think it's not just that, and I think it's a lot of things like racism and hatred and a lot of the things we consider negatives in society. A lot of that stuff comes from who raises you.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they're cool with throwing the word like jigaboo around the house or something bad like that, like
It's
you're probably more
generational
likely.
hatred.
And it's like, and I saw that even with, and I'll reflect on myself for a minute. I even saw things that we were cool with saying up here in Maine that you could not say at even St. Anselm College, which is only 2.5 hours, with some of our more liberal populated students from afar and even from Massachusetts. They were not cool with some of the slang that is very, and with the circle and not to hate on my friends by any means, but it's just, that's how they were raised. That's how they're going to talk. They believe what they believe. A lot of, and no offense, a lot of their beliefs come from their parents, and they can't really argue the case against it with me. It's true. It's what you're, and again, that's that generational taught stuff. And again, there's nothing wrong with that.
No,
in certain aspects, if it's healthy, and again, you can have it. What is your definition of healthy? But like it's all the retorts aside,
when you're
there's
not
good
harming
family
others
tradition
and
is
hurting.
good as long as it's not harmful.
Right.
And that's,
exactly.
I guess, the big thing. Well, Dad always beat us with a belt. Well, yeah, maybe
Dad shouldn't have been doing that.
Maybe it's good.
Dad needs therapy.
Maybe,
and so do you.
and that's probably true at the end of the day. But I think, and at the same time, though, I am torn because I do think there are these moments where I can even think back, and not to hate on my own dad by any means, but I got the belt once, maybe twice, and I learned my lesson, and I never got it again.
Well,
but,
I think,
but he is not. But I'm not, and to reflect on that, he is not a cruel person.
No,
and he's not
no,
a hateful person at all, and he's not an abusive person by any means. He would not lay a hand on, and just for the sake of continuity, he would not lay a hand on my mother or I when they were together. The fact of the matter being is that
I think the culture is changing.
It is, I think you can still be stern like that, but with words.
Yes.
I just think it's harder to do because without that instant, unfortunately, that painful or whatever, that tattoo almost, it almost doesn't have the same react. I know that's not healthy by any means, but it's just I don't know. Can you get the same point across with words? I guess is what what I'm saying.
So I guess,
how do you? I guess what I'm saying is, psychologically, how do you reverse that? You know what I'm saying?
Well, and
it's how do you get away from that? I guess how do you do it without having that reaction?
Well,
you know what I mean?
You're right, and that's kind of the generational thing where if that's how you were raised. And you were still raised with, a loving father, you can still be a loving father, but it also might cause you to, your first inclination if your kid does something wrong is oh, well, I grew up fine. And so it's
and
learning
that's
different.
The line, right? Well, I grew up okay. So
so it's breaking those habits and stopping them.
Stopping and thinking, I guess it's just really reflecting at the end of the day, right?
And then passing those skills down to their children. So then we start to hopefully, at some point, die out some of those trends that, stigmatize mental health support and communication skills and stuff like that. Because I just think I think we're seeing a transition of culture, I think is all we're really seeing. Where back then it was more normalized. I got the belt.
Publicly.
Yeah, I got the belt, but I think that we're just... No, actually, no. Mom was more the wooden spoon.
Oh, yeah.
But she would just wave it, and you'd be like, "All right, I'm done." So, but and then we laugh about that, and we're okay with that.
I know.
And
we're fucked up though.
Well, we also joke about our trauma, so I'm not exactly the pinnacle of what healthy looks like. But
and again, I'm not. But I see. But I can identify it. I know
we're
what it
normalizing
is.
something different. I think it's all we're
exactly.
doing. It's not normal anymore to do that, so it is not acceptable to do it.
And if I ever have children, that's not going to be my go-to.
Right.
But is it going to stay in my arsenal?
TBD.
Perhaps. TBD. Exactly. How is my day gone? No, I'm kidding. No, that's terrible. But no. That being said, so do you still feel like you're happy? You picked the right major, you still feel like you're on the right trail, so to speak?
I don't know if I'm on the right trail. I don't know if anyone is.
Right. Well,
No, I cannot. I'll put it this way.
Yeah. Please do.
My field of work is a very tough one. It is. It's just, and I'm just talking historically, and currently, it is a very overworked, underappreciated, underpaid field. It just is.
It always has been.
However,
as long as it's existed, frankly.
Yeah,
right?
social work, psychology, sociology, all of that. It's very, which no one told me in college, but looking back, I mean,
They never.
so they never.
Oops, sorry.
No, for
sorry,
real.
children.
So they, you know, it in that sense, it is very, very hard what I do, and there were definitely other avenues I could have taken to make more money, or maybe to be a little bit more comfortable in life.
Kelly.
There always are.
I understand.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, if I'm looking back, it doesn't take away from the passion I have for the work, and I genuinely cannot imagine doing anything else.
Right. Yeah,
so
no, of course.
Even though there's struggles, and it's very stressful at times. I mean, for personally and work-wise, I still can't imagine. I mean, I went to St. A's originally for nursing.
Right.
Can you imagine me
Nurse
as a nurse?
Nurse Kelly.
No. And people that I get to know now, like, I tell them how I originally went to school for nursing, and they're like, I literally would never want you in my hospital room. And I'm like, same.
Nurse Ratchet over here.
Yeah, no, for real. I'd be like, why are you crying? But
why are you crying? You got nothing to cry about. You want to hear? You want to hear? You want to hear
about my
about?
childhood trauma?
Oh boy.
Yeah, no, but I can't imagine doing anything beyond this. So I am incredibly grateful. I just think
good.
Yeah.
And I think
there's more to grow.
I think that I like I said, I too am grateful for, my experiences and everything like that. I can sometimes be a little bit bitter because of, the results, but at the end of the day, it is what it is.
Well, and how are we supposed to know back?
Exactly.
That blows my mind that it's such a social norm that kids are supposed to know what they want to do with the rest of their lives at 18, 19. Are you kidding me?
Well, I was just talking with my dad the other day, and I said, like, hey, what if I had taken a year off? Like, what if I had taken a gap year and just kind of like worked and like played music and just like not fucked off, but I guess kind of fucked off. I mean, it's just, and I mean that in the most constructive way possible, like creatively, because I am a very creative person, frankly. And I mean, I've talked about this with Lucas thousands of times, and he grills me on it every time. To his credit, he is right. I don't spend enough time with my creative outlets. I mean, this is one of them, obviously. This is in its own right. I mean, it's the DuView podcast. It's my view, and I have on who I want, and we talk about what we want to talk about. But also musically, like he and I, like the other night, we played Tuesday night. We played together. We're going through like the Great American Songbook right now and playing a bunch of folk stuff.
That's on brand.
I bought a cajon, like it's one of those drum box things. Like,
oh, okay.
Yeah, it sounds like a bass and a snare drum, and like a few other things. But anyway,
so your dad is like stoked.
Yeah, yeah, he's pissed. Yeah, he loves it. So I take off my headphones and I can hear the TV is a lot louder than it was when I started playing.
Interesting.
So it's like I'm detecting some hints.
Yeah.
I need to come play it down in the basement.
Right.
But that being said, though, it's been great playing more music, and we do plan on playing out more. And I do see there being some Lucas and Ryan gigs in the future.
Oh my God, I love that.
With an acoustic duo, and we really do hope to create a jam band, like not exactly the Grateful Dead, but like long form music with other inspiration from other covers and such, but also eventually get into some of our own stuff, because we both are pretty creative. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes too. And I know you're a big supporter.
I was
going to
say I'll be a groupie,
and
I have the creativity to be a groupie. That's about it. Okay, maybe not in the traditional rock star sense of groupie, but like the platonic supportive friend groupie.
There you go. Oh, but that being said, though, you're an independent person now. You've left the nest.
Ish. Meanwhile, my mom just texted me, and she's at my apartment. She's like, "Do you want me to do your laundry?"
Oh
yes, Mom, I want you to do my
maybe
laundry.
You're not completely independent, but maybe we just get help on the side.
We just get help.
We just get a little,
every
little
independent woman behind every independent person
is another independent
woman.
Yeah, exactly.
Is a mom.
Is a ma'am. Yeah, but how's Mom doing? First off,
she's doing awesome. She got a new job.
Good for her.
She moved out. I always joke with people.
I
joke with people that I finally got Mom out of the nest.
Oh.
So she has her own place and I have my own place. And she has
Nice.
a new job and she's incredibly happy with it. And it allows her to work from home.
Are you all still in
which
like Lewiston, Auburn
so
areas?
so funny. Tell me this isn't the most like
You live down the street from each other?
literally down the street. 3 minutes.
You didn't tell me that.
3 minutes. So I
Here
found
I am trying to hype you up.
I-
It's like, Kelly left the nest,
I
everybody.
did leave
She's
the
gone.
nest. I did leave the nest, and I
Except-
just went to another branch, but we're on the same tree. She's literally
Yep.
down the street.
Yep. Love
Which
it.
is amazing because being a single mom of a very needy dog is hard.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hey, mom,
Hey,
I'm
go
going to
see your
Ryan's. Can you come hang out with your
grandchild.
grandchild?
Yeah.
And she's over there. And
Yep. They're
you
having
know,
a grand
if I,
old time,
you know,
I'm
I'm
sure.
very, very independent, but if I come back and my dishes are not done, I'm going to be a little pissed.
Yeah, what the hell, Jenna? Yeah, Jesus. No, I love your family and you know your extended family, I guess too. You know,
Yes.
the Bernie and the
Shout out
Olettes,
to
and shout out
Bernie
to
Willette.
Bernie and Lisa and Haley and the boys and everybody
yeah.
else. You know,
And it's Haley's birthday.
yeah, it is
Happy
Haley's
birthday, Haley.
birthday. Happy birthday, Haley. I should also probably message her happy birthday after this. I will do that. Actually, yeah. But anyway, that being said, you know, great people. You know, love spending time with you guys, and really thankful that I met other people through you guys as well. You know, and on top of just getting to meet get to know your mom better and everything like that. It's good folks. It's important to have people that you can just go and have fun with.
Oh, yeah.
And we've done New Year's, going to camp.
Oh, my
and,
God. New Year's camp.
you know, it's just
I know. That's one of the
your
things that.
graduation party. You know, like that's where I really made my
Oh, my God.
my first impact after working for the Maine GOP,
That's right.
coming to Lewiston and explaining
Lewiston,
what I
Maine.
did for work, and they're all just like, "What?"
What?
And then like, yeah,
Who invited him?
yeah, where'd this
I
guy
did.
come from?
We actually went to formal together, so watch yourself.
Yeah, we did. It's true. It's true. Look out, kids. Um, so, but I mean, did you find it hard when you were looking for like an affordable place?
Oh, it's disgusting.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I mean, oh man, yeah, it is.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's really the only. I don't know how many times I sat
I don't know
there.
how else to describe it, really. You know,
I
it's just-
mean, I sat. I'm not joking. I sat there and I cried so many times because I work full time. I have a second job, so I'm a single independent woman with 2 incomes and decent
technically a
credit,
child.
and a very.
That-
Contrary to what I've said before, she's a very well-behaved dog.
Yeah, but I mean,
And-
but like you have to feed the dog, and
Yeah, right.
the dog gets sick.
Right.
Yeah.
But
It randomly and
randomly.
and vet bills are like, here's $1,000, here's here's
Oh my God.
$500, here's a blah blah blah.
but
So you know what I'm saying?
like,
you
how
know,
is it that hard to look on paper?
right?
Everything about my life should be completely fine. So the fact that I was, and I'm not even exaggerating,
Yep.
I was looking at 1-bedroom, sometimes even studios
Mhm.
in Lewiston, Auburn, not even making it to Portland because that was completely off my radar. I was looking at all
Yep.
these places, and you're looking at $1,000, $1,200, no utilities, no dogs
Nothing
allowed.
included, no pets.
Right. And so it's like, I'm not going to separate from my child. That's not even
No,
in the
it's not
question.
even
I'll
an
pay
option.
whatever I need to pay. But
Right.
it's like, I don't.
I guess
n-
sacrifice you have to make there on your end. So
Right.
shame on you.
I know.
Shame
For
on
not
you for trying to be
abandoning my
happy.
dog.
Yeah.
And so
You have to
also.
sacrifice. I mean, like, and I understand that, and trust me, I've worked on, I've done apartment maintenance and
Yeah.
cleaned apartments with the dogs and cats
And I get
pissed
it.
on the floor, but like, you got to be as a landlord.
I
if
mean,
you
you
if
have
you
to be
if you really care,
realistic.
you also have to be a good judge of character.
Like, meet the dog first.
Meet the dog first.
I mean,
see, you know,
and
give
I'm
them
also a
trial run.
26-year-old
you know?
woman. It's
Do an inspection. Have it written into
unfair.
the contract that you have
Right.
to be able to check for pet. You know, and
exactly
if there's
pet
shit outside,
damage,
yeah,
and
exactly.
and it's just like, but no one will even entertain that conversation.
Oh yeah,
They'll just say, "No
it's too
dogs,
much of a
no
pain
pets."
in the ass.
Yeah. And it's like, do you know how hard it was for me to, like, that's insane to me that it was
Yep.
that hard. And honestly, the only reason I got what I got, and shout out to, I won't even name him, but my landlord,
Right.
who's just an incredible human
Just a
being,
good guy.
who
Yeah.
cut me a break and said, I'm basing this rental off of the fact that you are a genuinely good person,
See,
and I'm going to make it
that-
affordable, and you have a
that
good dog.
Needs, oh, you're playing it just to the person, but if that should go into the equation, like, I'm sorry if you, like, I think there needs to be a line drawn somewhere in the sand for what is acceptable and unacceptable for apartments, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, and not trying to put anybody on blast, but I mean, I'm an electrician. I work in a lot of apartments, and
Mhm.
wish we, didn't sometimes because of somebody with a dude with long hair. I can get fucking fleas sometimes, like some of these apartments, and it's just like, I understand we're doing it for the landlord and whatever, but it's like, and again, this is my own personal feelings, does not reflect, my employer or anything like that. This is my own views, just saying. But that being said, it's gross what is allowed in a lot of places. Like, it's just silly. It's just like, I understand, but like, there has to be a line drawn in the sand though for people that are just looking for a safe, clean, affordable place,
right,
and can meet the
right.
payments.
I almost
can meet
wish
consistent payments, but just can't meet the $1,500 payments, or can't meet the whatever.
I wish that we would do. And so what my landlord did, and genuinely, I don't know how realistic this is, but across the board, I think this would change lives if landlords had interviews with people. So I sat down with him, and he said, if I were to charge $2,000, why couldn't you make that payment? And we walked through the fact that I graduated with a degree. I'm paying student loans. I pay my own car. I pay for a dog. I have the money. I could pay it, but that would make it very hard for me day to day to live.
To even
And so he understood the situation more. And I know that not all landlords are in that. And I know that it's not realistic. And my uncle's going to listen to this podcast and he's going to be like, Kelly, that's not how the world works. So I get it, Chris. But genuinely, though,
you know what? Hang on. No, you know what? Listen, Chris.
Yeah, address.
All right, listen. No, I'm addressing him and people that think like that directly. There is, and again, COVID has reflected this. There is a time for humility, and there is a time to be a good person.
Yeah.
You can take that extra second. You don't have, as a landlord, if you have buildings that are making you income, you don't have that unless you have to go fix shit.
Yeah.
Unless you're letting shit go by the wayside.
Right.
Like I said, I work with my hands. I know what I'm talking about,
Right.
and a lot more.
I know what the wayside looks
and
like.
again, I also have a bachelor's degree in political science.
Right.
I know all the angles of this.
See, you
shit.
know the different angles. I don't know funding from.
And it's just, and I know what's out there, and I know what can be out there, and I know how laws can get changed to make rezone places so they're multi-living, multi-use, multi-whatever. And you say that to some of the people around here, being Maine, and they look at you. They're like, we got to do things how it is the old way. We got to take old houses.
Old way's not working.
We got to take old houses and turn them into apartments, and you're gonna have weird rooms and shit. And I literally worked.
But $1,800.
And it's like, it's not gonna make. Like, I worked in a place the other day where they literally took the dormer came down so sharply that you had an extra space on the other side of the shower, but you couldn't use it for anything. It's just wasted space. It's like, honestly, some of these, and I mean, I hate this, and some of these places used to be really nice when, in Lewiston or in Augusta, for example, when the French owned them. When the old French families owned them, they took a lot of pride in their property. Go up to Aroostook County if you don't agree with me. They literally cut their lawns all to 5/8 of an inch, and there's no trash. The majority of people, those that are, still adhere to the ways. But anyway, things were very well taken care of, and I can say that because I had family that grew up on Sand Hill, and I'm sure you had family that grew up in the middle. But anyway, things used to be.
I'm actually not French.
Oh, really?
Nothing about me.
No,
so I'm probably
sure.
the only family.
Okay, but anyway, if you had family that lived in Maine, they knew somebody that lived in the French part of town, and they remember that the French families took care of their stuff. And so, that being said, it's too bad that a lot of these people, and I guess what I'm trying to drive to, Kelly, is that some of these places do need to get torn down to build new, efficient, affordable housing options that are just more energy efficient and just can accommodate more people
and sustainable
and park more. Exactly, and it's just to open up, to plan the cities a little bit better. You know what I'm saying? I know there's a lot of old stuff and some of it's historical. Preserve the stuff that's actually worth preserving, and either renovate or rehash the stuff that's not.
Well, right, and I'll just from what I do day to day, I'll check my privilege really quick. And understand that I am very fortunate for what I have.
Right,
I'm very fortunate for this situation.
Even though I'm at home, I am
well,
fortunate.
and if I didn't find a home, I would have still had a living arrangement. And I want to check my privilege in saying that.
Exactly.
But what I'm trying to get at is, if someone like me who looks so good on paper struggles this hard to find an apartment, how do you think it is for people who may have had a bad credit history? Went to prison once.
Not even a felon, just petty.
It blows my mind if a college graduate, single white woman with 2 incomes struggles to get an affordable apartment. what the hell does that look like and I see it with my families. I see it all the time. They struggle, and the only ones that they have access to, because no one wants to put the money into fixing these places up, are these, no offense, but these shitholes in downtown that people forget about. And it's like, that is not a healthy,
just these landlords
safe environment.
They just sit there and collect the check.
And it creates this ongoing cycle where that's where people are forced to raise their families, and then those families then don't get as many opportunities.
Generational trauma
it goes
we
right
were
back.
talking about
Exactly.
earlier. That's a great proponent. Again, if you don't have that safe, healthy home.
Yeah.
And again, it's crazy, to think back to St. A's. I'll think back to, for some reason, I went to Politics and Eggs with Rick Santorum, the guy with the sweater vest who talked about the nuclear family and probably went off the deep end for Trump or some nonsense. But anyway, he said something that really stuck with me about family values or something like that. But he was just like, if we can get back to some semblance of a family structure, and he goes, I'm not even talking about what like the church would consider to be like a traditional family structure. He says, if we can get back to some semblance of family structure for America, we'll be so much better off.
Yeah.
Like, regardless of, and I think what he was saying,
just family
without saying like even with two moms or with two dads or with one mom or with one dad or whatever the math equation is of guardians, as long as they're of quality.
Yes.
I think is what they were saying, and as long as like
it's supporting a family unit as you identify as a family.
Right, exactly. You shouldn't be judged for that, but at the same time, like it's like, don't be afraid to ask for help if you need help too.
Right. But then where do they go for help?
Right. Where's the money, Kelly?
I know. Where's the money?
I don't know.
So
I mean, I do, but I don't.
I do, but I don't.
Like,
wish I knew more.
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing, right? Is that I kind of understand that. Like, I have a bachelor's degree. I am now in the process of attaining an associate's degree. Like, it's a tough world out there.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's definitely, if I am at this point in struggling, where are the folks that are, and with all due respect, like not trying to be disrespectful by saying this, lower than me in the social hierarchy of America?
Where are they when they
I know where they are actually, unfortunately, because again, like I said, I did what I did for work. I taught, and I also, again, electrician and the political thing. I've seen all sides, and I mean, I'm not trying to say like I know everything, but I have literally seen all sides of American life, from the socioeconomic to the physical to the where people literally lay their heads at night. I've analyzed all that shit, and frankly, I wish I took more sociology classes so I could like use the proper terminology on things. But it's just but it's just like well, one of my professors talked about this guy who like sat down and like went to small towns in America and sat and talked to people in diners to get like the true heartbeat of America. Well, I can like I said, if I ever ran for political office, I mean, Jesus Christ, I know what people want and need. Because I talk to them. I talk to literally from the rich of the rich to the low of the low. I take the moment to talk to everybody, as long as they're friendly, who I work for with, or even if I see them at the gas station. Because I'm just one of those weird analytic people that it's just like. But that's what
it's supposed to be, right? Representation of everyone,
and that's
regarding.
I think St. A should be proud. We're supposed to think about shit like that, right?
Yeah.
We're always supposed to be like. I'm not trying to say fix the world, and that's not what I'm saying I'm trying to do by any means, but it's just looking at the problems and saying, well, so-and-so and these people can't get this, but these people are getting this, and, frankly, these people aren't getting taxed enough to pay for that. So we make a simple change, and it's, no simple change. But no, like, there are companies that don't pay any taxes, and not to get on, off to, like, the Amazon doesn't pay any taxes and stuff like that. It's just, without getting into that, it's just, like, there are things that can be changed, though.
And what we're sitting in is a
mud pit.
Well, of separation and division, where some people are drowning in the mud and other people are standing on a plank of wood, and we're calling the plank of wood the American dream. Who gave you that? You know what I mean? There's this
piece of wood guy.
This inequality of opportunities and chances for. And it's
and that's the big thing, and that's what I loved about. And I'll talk about Bill Weld for a minute. He by the end of the campaign, he was like, America needs a new equity of opportunity. And I'm like, you know what? For a 70-something old white dude from Massachusetts whose family came over on the fucking Mayflower,
that's not a bad take.
You get it, Bill. You fucking, as a young person, I'm just sitting. That's why I went so hard for that guy, because as someone as I'm not trying to be disrespectful when I say old, but someone as elderly as he was, he fucking got it.
Yep.
He fucking got it. Like, it's like you can be fiscally conservative and not be a conservative nutbag socially.
Right.
And I'm not just trying to hate on people that want to conserve socially. That's fine. Like, I understand, like, you're very rigid in your ways, and that's cool. But don't just hate somebody just because they are what they are. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
or they're not what they're.
Or they're not what
they're not what
like,
you are.
Without going down the rabbit hole, it's just like.
I know this could be a 3-hour podcast just based on inequality.
It could be. Oh yeah, and it's just like, and I'm not perfect in it either. Like, I have my faults at times, and I say dumb shit I shouldn't. It's just unfortunately the way it is, and I'm not trying to be like an apologist or anything like that. But it's just like, just a little bit more basic respect is, I guess, really what I'm calling for.
That'd be great.
It'd just be, and again, like, start small. Like, I touch what I can touch. So, Maine or Augusta or whatever, Kennebec Valley. It's like, let's make this area good first. It's like, but we are going to, and that's the hard fact that people in Maine don't like to accept, Kelly, is that you do have to accept some change. Like, we're going to have to tear some buildings down, guys.
Yeah.
If you really want to provide services, safe, healthy living environments for people and everything like that, you are going to have to tear some older buildings down to make way for the new.
Yeah.
Or, and that's for your city and for mine as well.
Well, right. It's bettering for everyone. Bettering for the community is
and
bettering for
jobs
everyone.
To build
I
these
mean,
buildings. I mean, like, I'm a tradesman. Keep building, please. Like, I mean, I need work. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, keep the buildings going. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's just
you grow up and unfortunately you realize how ugly the world is right now, and it's just it's hard. It's hard.
And I talk about this with people, and it's disheartening. I mean, like, I'm hopeful at the same time because I'm not like a completely negative, like, oh, it's all shit. Like, I don't really believe that. Like, at the end of the day, I am a pretty positive person, and I do think there is a way out. It's just like the window closes a little bit more every year.
Yeah.
We don't address certain issues, and I guess that's kind of what I want to get into to close this thing off, Kelly, is like, we have a big election coming this year, among other things, and a lot of fucking crazy social, political shit has happened in the last since I've seen you. So, like, what are you really looking for in the upcoming just like election and just like future, like, for women? I'm not making you the spokesperson for women, but I haven't had honestly a female guest on the podcast in a while, and just some fresh perspective, please.
I'm looking for the bare minimum.
Yeah.
I'm looking for the decency of respect. I'm looking for representation of the real people, not the select few who have the money and the power to be a little bit louder.
Yeah.
And it's just when that, I don't obviously want to scare off too many of your listeners or anything like that, but
if they can't handle it, they can leave.
But the reversal of Roe versus Wade. I mean,
Oh,
I felt that.
I didn't think I'd see that in my lifetime.
I felt that in my.
I mean, you must have. I mean, I dreaded it. Like, it fucked me up.
Yep.
And I'm a dude.
I cried. I couldn't work for the rest of the day, and I the biggest thing that I couldn't stand.
And if anybody goes, "Oh, she's just being emotional," shut the fuck up.
I am being emotional. I'm being emotional because my fundamental fucking rights are being tampered with.
You're literally, they're like, "Oh, men and women are equal in America."
No, we're not.
That day, they definitely
name a law that restricts a man's choice over his bodily functions.
There isn't one.
Not
really.
And I'm not saying there should be. And I think that's the big, and if I can speak for true feminists everywhere, I want this to stop being stigmatized as feminism is meaning that we want men to suffer. We don't. We just don't understand why primarily men are making decisions that then make us suffer. We negatively get impacted. And it's like, it blows my mind that happened. It actually made me sick to my stomach.
I agree. And the fact that there are politicians, and I'm just going to say this is going to be a real burner. Get ready for this, Kelly. The fact that there are politicians, primarily Republican and conservative politicians.
And white older men.
Yep. That are cool with not having provisions. And again, I work for the Republican Party. My belief on abortion is I'm pro-choice.
Mm-hmm.
Abortion if we have abortion, it should be safe and rare. It is not a form of birth control. It is there for primarily healthcare purposes.
Well, and that's
like that, and that's again, that's just me as a dude. You know what I'm saying?
No, but it's
that's my view. But the fact that I guess I'll just say what I'm going to say real quick, and then hop on. The fact that there are these politicians that are cool with not having provisions, even any provisions for rape, incest, and this stuff. It's like, okay, so you're cool with physical violence, physical sexual violence against women. That's a big no-no for me. And, like, if you can't stand up and go against that, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Second thing, you're cool. Okay, regardless, I'm not just going to make, everybody down south is a cousin, water. But, like, it's like, so you guys are cool with that? Like, you're cool with people doing unspeakable things
as long as it saves a life
to their children. Yeah, right. Yeah, as long as it their cousins or their children or whatever fucked up, ridiculous shit. Like, you can't even say that incest isn't okay. Like, what world are we in?
Well, and that just sent one huge and genuinely, I say this wholeheartedly.
I mean, like, these two things are like, I thought, like, even back in the fucking biblical times, they even said, don't go raping people and don't go, probably it happened, but you know what I'm saying? I mean, it happened, but yeah, I'm saying
it was
generally
I'm just
frowned
even
upon. Saying even like in Rome, just saying that people weren't just like, it happened from time to time in the upper class, but like it even was accepted, like, hey, we don't do this to our kids and like stuff like that. Like, it's just like I'm saying, like, or at least even in the history of the United States, we even like going back to like the colonial times, we're like, we don't rape people and we don't do things this close.
Well, and it's
it's like
it's that too.
We're not kings and queens here. We're normal people.
Well, ish.
Well,
but but no, it's
like
well, and that's the argument that a lot of people are using, right? Like,
I don't
what
even
about
think,
rape?
I don't even
what
know
about
why,
incest?
I don't even know why we're still having the conversation about it. It should have been ended. And like this whole like, why can't they just get over the fact that they're going again? And I've said that Lucas and I talked about this when I had him on too. Abortions are going to happen regardless of if it's legal or if it is illegal.
Except one's going to be safe and accessible, and the other is not.
What I said, safe and
rare.
Well,
but the thing is, though, is that I feel like a lot of people are basing their arguments for pro-life, quote unquote, even though once that life has begun outside of the womb,
if it was about
no one
kids,
seems to give a
Kelly,
shit.
If it was about the kids, we would have changed so much in
exactly.
our society.
And so, but a lot of people are like, who are pro-life, are basing it off of these extremist views that like women just go get abortions when they don't want to use condoms. Like, that is not like how things work.
I'm sure it happens.
I'm sure it happens.
I'm sure
but
it does.
it's not what it's
intended
for,
intended.
and that's not what
Exactly.
the majority of people. And at the end of the day,
it's
a medical choice for a woman. And what legislation did
business?
Yeah, and wholeheartedly, I say this: legislation said a big fuck you to every single woman.
Yeah,
and whether you're in a safe state or not. But it's like it's also it evoked this argument that, well, what about rape? What about incest? Just like you said, which is completely valid. But that also ties in with the argument that, like, so a woman's body has to be violated in order for us to have rights to it?
Right, exactly.
Not that that's what you were saying. I'm saying that's what other people use that argument to the extreme.
Exactly. But it's sad that we even, again, it's sad that is even the element of the conversation. You know what I'm saying? It's that for women's bodies to be part of the even again, we shouldn't even be having the conversation about women's bodies. But the conversation shouldn't happen. Like again, we came up in a society where Hugh Hefner was cool with Playboy, and then you hear about all the stuff he did, and it's like, wow, like he actually set up a really masculine society. Like, and again, I'm not trying to say oh, I need to be like one of these weenie males, like beta male type bull. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I'm not advocating for that, but again, I guess what I'm saying is we need to stop and just be understanding, and just stop
people,
for a minute.
There needs to be more representation for more lived experience,
for different perspectives,
and it's just there needs to be this and not to get too much into it, but it's like this patriarchal sense. It's
a hierarchy that's existed, unfortunately, in this country,
and it's been
for
deeply
a long
ingrained.
time.
And
it's even worse down south than it is up
yes.
here. the fact that like the Civil War happened and like they had to like give up their traditional cultural hierarchy broke their minds. That's why they still have race wars and
broke their masculinity. They were like, help.
Oh yeah. Not to say we're perfect up here. We still have racism and stuff like that. It does happen, obviously, but like I think you see more women come to positions of power in the Northeast.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Or
well,
we're much more cool with it.
That's the thing that blows my mind too, right?
But that is also historical because our men lived hard lives settling our area, and a lot of them died. Yeah. So y'all, being women, had to step up and run everything, and that's where the strong. And seriously, but you hear a lot of stories of that throughout, like Maine and New England history. Like the husband went off to work in the mill, and like the mother runs the family. But there are accounts. I mean, the husband goes off to fight in the Civil War and dies, and then there are all these like people forget about all the mothers and
where would those kids be?
I mean, after all
the
these
mother
wars,
had to take care of them.
Right, exactly, or any mass tragedy.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, or anything like that. You know, it's insane.
It's just insane, and it's like, you know, when. And I'm going to preface this by saying that these moments, it's not that they shouldn't be celebrated, but when we celebrate, you know, a Black or Hispanic woman or human being, you know, coming to a position of power, or we see a woman being elected as something, and it's like, oh my God, this is monumental, and it is monumental, but that's the problem. Why is it monumental?
Why are we only focusing on
why
that?
has it not been, why is it not more
accepted
or routine for there to be more diversity within these large
that's a long,
you know,
it's
a long, and I know
I even took a class on it in school,
but it just
I took literally a class on women in politics.
Oh, same.
And it was it's too
fucked.
It's too well, it is, but it's also just like too bad that like and again, this is just me being a stupid dude. It's like, hey, women, just be more confident. Like, y'all are doing fine. Like, half of y'all are beautiful. Just like I'm not trying to be a dick by saying get over yourselves, get out there and go fucking do something. Like, you can do it too. Just go fucking.
Can we though?
Just tell them to go fuck themselves and just do it. Don't care, all of you. But you guys need to stick together though. That's the thing.
We tried.
It doesn't work.
We're trying.
The
power.
Everybody's like spread out though. It's just like, oh, men need to stick together. It's like, and then it's like, we need to do this, and then like 1,000 different people bring up opinions, and then it falls apart. Right, the wheels fall off the cart. You know?
Right. Well, and I just think you know, men are a lot of times the first ones to say, you know, like, just come on up, like, do this. But it's like they're also.
I know. I'm just a dumb dude.
No. You're not a dumb dude, though. You're not a dumb dude. You're basing off of experience.
I just wish that.
You wish that's how it could be.
I wish it could happen.
Yes, and I wish it was that simple.
And I'm able to do that, and I wish that you guys could do that.
I wish it was that simple. I wish we could do that. I wish if we screamed loud enough, we would be heard and validated. But that's just not. And I don't mean that that's just a women thing. I think that's across the board.
That's an oppression thing.
Yes, and so, but I was gonna say most men are holding the "you're beautiful" sign, but then when we look up, there's that glass ceiling, and we're like, nice of you to say.
I know. It's just, or whatever the if it's body issue, image issues, or if it's the the political thing. Like, oh, we
based in the patriarchy
I
too.
Can't tell you how many times I door knock and the wife would answer the door. Well, could you come back when my husband's home? I am not qualified to talk about these politics you speak of. It's like, Jesus Christ, I'm going to go bash my head off the
You're like,
pavement.
actually, you're the person I want to be speaking to.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, I need to be
Pack your
talking
bags.
to you. Like, no, not that bad. But like, have you voted? Do you know what voting is? Do you know you actually have the right to vote here in America, ma'am? What are these things you call voting rights? the 19th Amendment? What are you speaking? It's like, what are you speaking about? Like, it's like, did I just time warp back to fucking 1859? Like,
that's what it felt like, though, when some of these
shit.
decisions were made. It really did feel. I was like, how as a country
Welcome
are we
back
so
to the
okay?
Stone Age, guys.
How are we okay with just going backwards this much? And not to, I don't want to end this on a negative note, but it's a real note because it genuinely changed lives, and
that's where we're at, though.
We're not having conversations that need to happen. People are being silenced and shut down for the convenience and the comfort of a very select few
and to make money.
People.
Like, let's not
Milieu
forget
of people.
Let's not forget people are just
Well,
making
and
money.
that's
And
the-
while all this is going on.
Yeah.
While
Well,
all this
that's
is
what I
going
mean,
on,
though.
while we're
That's
all
the
fighting
select
each
few,
other,
right?
There are people making money off it.
Yeah,
Just
no one
remember
cares
that.
about-
And I'm
yeah.
not going to go like, oh, conspiracy theory type shit. I'm just going to say confusion breeds money. That's a fact.
Well, no, but that's what I'm saying, though.
Yep.
It's people are being oppressed and silenced for the comfort of a small milieu of people, and that small milieu of people, unfortunately, sorry, shout out, guys,
your comfort's not that
are
important to the
wealthy
majority.
white men.
Yep.
So
and I'm sorry, but like,
I don't give a shit about your comfort.
I don't care.
I'm
like,
uncomfortable. No one cares about that.
This is such like a vox populi, like little guy type mentality. But it's like, frankly, I don't care if you have 10 cars, like, or if you didn't make $1 million this year, like, so you didn't, you're like whatever the qualification is, or like
If you can't
you
hear
don't
me
pay
as a person,
but you don't pay taxes, so
also
you
that.
know, like, and like whatever I do is like a drop in the bucket, like to like what you do. It's like you can make a small, minute sacrifice so that I can just. And again, like when we talk about this, and I know you're in the same boat I am because we've talked about it in the past. But like when we talk about these things, we're not talking about them in the sense that we want to be fucking millionaires. Don't get me wrong, that'd be fantastic. I just want to be comfortable.
Yep.
I just want to not have. I want to have my my wealth to debt ratio in the positive category, and I want to, just be able to occasionally take a trip, and
that's the dream,
and have my ability to see my friends whenever I want, and like. Yeah,
without working yourself to death.
Right, yeah, and I mean, not to get too far into all that, but that being said, though, it's just, it would be nice, and it is doable, because, again, I've worked on both sides of things, and I know that all it takes is the movement of a couple zeros and O's and Xing a couple things out of a category on basically, I make it sound really basic, but it kind of is in a lot of ways that basic, and it's just
simplify it a bit.
We just need to really, and I guess what really I want to end the episode on with you is just take stock of what's really actually important.
And what's actually happening.
And what's actually happening, because as you said, there are these kids that have trauma.
Are actually experiencing.
And there are these people that have come out of this thing, and I'm going to call it a thing because I don't really want to just call it a pandemic. It's a thing at this point. Have come out of this thing that we've called the beginning of the 2020s, and it's fucked us up as a country. So, and as a world. So we really need to get back to what's important, and I think that's just being good people first and foremost. I think that's all we're advocating for.
Yes.
So that being said, Kelly, before we wrap things up, any shout-outs or any parting words of wisdom before we end the episode?
Just be a kind and decent fucking human being.
Yep, that's all we can ask for.
That's
really.
it. That's it.
It makes a lot of things easier at the end of the day. And thank you for being kind and pleasant individuals by listening to the podcast and supporting us on all the platforms. We're back now, so if you could give us a like or a share and leave a review on any of the platforms. That's really important for us, guys. Really trying to build things up here in the next year here, and really try to take things to a next level. And again, there should be some video coming here pretty soon. Not going to say when, because I don't want to put a hard date on that in case things go awry. But that being said, it should be up and running, and you'll be able to see us actually on YouTube. I'm gonna have to stop wearing sweats for episodes.
Oh God, it's like going back in person. I'm like, do I even know how to dress?
And if you come back on, you're gonna actually have to dress up a little bit, I guess. Sorry, not really, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, we are gonna hopefully make the studio more comfortable, get a couch in here, and just change things up a little bit and make it a little bit more casual. I like the table, but I'm not like in love with the table. But anyway, that being said,
they can't even see the table. Right?
I know. Well, they've seen pictures. I mean, if you follow us on Instagram, DuView207, you can see the studio. And also follow us there if you don't already. And also find my Linktree, the DuView podcast on Linktree, to all the other good DuView social media platforms, such as YouTube, where, again, you can just listen for now. But, again, things coming there. But also, really hit us up on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Really get those reviews. If a nice 4 or 5 star review, or even a review on Facebook makes all the difference. Because I really am a local podcast first and foremost, and I really have tried to build out of my local community and out of there throughout the state of Maine. And really, the goal would be to be well recognized within Maine and New England. So we'll get there hopefully one day. But that being said, to get there, I need some help, and that comes from all of you. So if folks could share this episode, any of the other episodes, and just really anything from word of mouth to, like I said, a rate or a share, any of those good things. So appreciate everybody. Thank you again, Kelly, for coming on this week.
Thank you.
And we're going to see you guys another couple weeks with an all-new episode of the DuView Podcast. So be sure to check out all of our social medias, the DuView Podcast and or DuView207 on Instagram, if you're interested in any of that stuff. So be alive, be awake, and we'll see you next week.